Next, we will dive into a simple capstone project called iris flower prediction. This is going to be a starting point because once you learn this, the subsequent sessions, you will be able to understand or you will be able to grasp the advanced concepts. So as part of this simple project, I'll explain you the basic steps that are involved to build a model and deploy the model in AWS Cloud. Okay. Before I start doing the coding, I just would like to know how many of you are familiar with this iris flower? The iris flower looks something like this, guys. Okay, the scientists in the past, they classified this iris flower into three different categories as Setosa, Versicolor, and Virginica. So you might be wondering on what basis they classified the same iris flower into three different categories like Setosa, Versicolor, and Virginica. The answer is very, very simple. Based on the combination of these four features, they are able to classify the same iris flower into three different categories. For example, here, look at the Setosa. Okay, each flower has a unique combination of these four measurements. In the case of Setosa, usually, right, the Setosa flower, the has a smaller petals and sepals, smaller petals and sepals. If you see the petal length and width of Setosa compared to other type of flowers, the length is 1.3 and the width is 0.4 and the sepal width is 3.9 and so on, right? So based on the combination of all the four values that are available under these four features, they have classified the iris flower into three different categories. If you look at the Virginica, it's a longer, the petal size are bigger than your Setosa and other things. Okay, Versicolor. Now we understood what exactly the iris flower is all about and how they have determined the each category of the iris flower. The next thing is we will just look at the problem definition. So you are given an iris data set. It contains 150 flowers, iris flowers, that belongs to these three categories, Setosa, Versicolor, and Virginica. Each flower is described using the four features. With the combination of these four features or the columns, so we can define what category or type of each iris flower is all about. That is what we are going to do that. So the objective of this project is to train your machine learning model or build your model to classify the iris flower into one of these three species based on the four features. Okay, so these four features are called your independent variables, and these three values are available in a single column called species. That column is your target variable. The target variable is also called as a labeled feature. This is called your input feature. Got it? So now the goal is we want to train a machine learning model so that if you show any iris flower to your trained machine learning model, it has to classify, hey, this iris flower is Setosa, this iris flower falls into the category of Virginica, this iris flower falls into the category of Versicolor. Now, okay, now you have this data set, as I told you, right? You have the four the input features, and then you have the labeled feature called spaces. This is how your data looks like, but you have 150 records of iris flowers are available. Next, we will see what are the steps that we need to take in order to solve this problem. In other words, what are the steps involved to train your machine learning model? And what are the steps involved to deploy your machine learning model in your cloud or so, okay? So what are the steps involved to solve the problem? So you need to build a machine learning model. How do you build a machine learning? What are the steps involved to create your machine learning model. So these are the steps involved. These are the fundamental steps. Okay, first you need to collect the data. Without data, you cannot do anything, right? So you need to have the data. And once you have the data, you need to perform analysis. Okay, technical analysis, business analysis. For something like, technical analysis, whether the given data is good enough for me to go ahead and train or build the machine learning model. In case of any data related issues, you need to address it. That is called your data pre-processing or data preparation. In this step, you prepare your data. In case of any, in simple term, you are cleaning the data, okay? So, and then the next step is, if required, you need to do feature engineering. Feature engineering is something like you need to create additional column based on the existing columns in your data set. Once you are done with that, you are good to go with train or build your machine learning model. Okay, so the machine learning model, the input is the cleaned data. That's all, guys. Or the pre-processed data is an input for your model. Once you train your model, you need to test whether how well my model is performing. In our case, how well my model is classifying any given iris flower as a Setosa or a Virginica or Versicolor. Once you find that your model is able to predict correctly or up to the mark in terms of accuracy, the next step is you are packaging that model and then you deploy it in the AWS Cloud or Google or Azure Cloud. So all these steps, the sequence of steps are called pipeline, ML pipeline, machine learning pipeline. In this example, this ML pipeline contains CI as well as CD part. For CI also you can create for CI we create usually the separate pipeline. For CD we create another pipeline. But up to this, right, evaluate the model, use your CI pipeline, and then the rest of them are your CD pipeline. Guys, this is a simple steps, whatever I mentioned here. There are other steps involved here. That is a little advanced one. Since you are fresher, beginner, I did not cover all those steps. In the upcoming session, we'll discuss about what the additional steps that are required. And also I will compare the MLOps life cycle, level 1 and level 2. Right, with that in mind, how to deploy the model. That we'll see at later point time. To start with that, let us take a baby step. So what I will do is, the next step is, I will just show you a demo in AWS Cloud, how to build the machine learning model, what are the steps involved, and how to deploy the machine learning model on your AWS Cloud. That is the one we are going to take a look at it. So once you deploy the model in your production system in the cloud, the people across the globe, what they can do is they can use your model by simply sending the data to your model. Your model will throw them back the predicted values. This is the big picture, guys. All right, it's time now for us to jump into the AWS Cloud and get our hands dirty by building the model and deploying them on cloud.